What does it take to be more honorable than those around you? Because that's how Jabez was described in 1 Chronicles chapter 4, and that may have affected his prayer life. Good morning, I'm Pastor Ernie Lewis of the Blue Point Church in Sisney, Illinois, with your thoughts for Tuesday. In this list of genealogies, there is a pause, perhaps a parenthetical insert about one such man in this gigantic list of names and descendants. The writer begins by telling us that Jabez was more honorable than his brothers. This could be his description for a whole host of reasons, but listen to his prayer. In 1 Chronicles 4:9, the Bible says, "Now Jabez was more honorable than his brothers, and Jabez called on the God of Israel, saying, 'Oh, that you would bless me indeed and enlarge my territory.'" I know some translations will call that my borders or my coasts, but he simply asked God, help me to spread out. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean acquire more land or more things. I'm sure in the westward expansion back in the 1800s, they wanted a homestead. They wanted a large ranch where they could graze herds or farm. That's really not Jabez here. Perhaps for Jabez, he was asking for a raise, a promotion, a bigger and better life. And why not ask when we are dealing with the sovereign God of the universe? 1 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 9 says, "Eye has not seen, nor ear heard, nor have entered into the heart of man the things which God has prepared for those who love him." Do we really believe what the Bible says about God's ability and his desires for us? I mean, one thing that Jabez knew was if his territory was enlarged, he would have even greater opportunities. What great things could we do for God, or could God do through me if I had larger territory? If I had a greater influence, I could share the gospel with more people. If I had a larger territory, I would meet and influence a greater crowd of the lost. If we had a larger border around us, we would find more things to do for God. So maybe we need to pray this prayer and see what God could do with our lives. Perhaps the Apostle Paul even prayed that prayer back when he was sitting in Antioch and teaching in that church. And boom, God sent him around the world. Perhaps Philip prayed that prayer when he was preaching that revival in Samaria. And boom, God sent him to Gaza, where there he met that Ethiopian eunuch. And there's no telling what kind of influence that spread across the world as we know it back then. Don't pray this prayer, by the way, if you're not ready for God to do great things in your life, okay? We once prayed that a neighbor lady would sell us a little more property around our church, and she ended up giving us over 10 acres. And soon after that, we bought property on the other side of the church that amounted to about 3.5 acres. So what if we prayed today? God, just enlarge my territory for today, all right? Just right now. Let me get a glimpse of the kind of encounters that we've never imagined before, or the resources that we could use for God, or the things that he could do on the inside of me if we just said, Lord, work on me today. Enlarge my borders, increase my territory. So noble Jabez prayed that prayer, and I don't think he was greedy. He just wanted to be used of God in a greater way. Is that our prayer today? Is that our desire today? Because I'm certain God would answer that prayer if we sincerely prayed it.